Welcome back to Living Grounded. You're here with Lila and Tim.
Hi.
We just came back from Church Camp 2026, and our topic there was the book of Revelation, but it was more like an introduction to Revelation. So there's still some open questions with it that we're going to get into today. So we'll do a little Q&A on Revelation. What even, maybe in like a short summary, what is Revelation about?
People have the impression that Revelation is all about the future. I presented at church camp that I don't think that's the case. I think Revelation is about God's people living right now in what is called the church age or the tribulation. It's the time where after Jesus' death and resurrection, Jesus has fulfilled his work. His work is finished. He's struck the great blow on Satan and death. He's made a way for his people to be saved. But of course, now he commissions his people to be a light in the world, to see more people won to the gospel. And I think that's the message of the Gospels. That's the message of the New Testament. So it's not actually surprising that's the message of Revelation. It's to encourage God's people to be a light, to be a lampstand, and to help them as they kind of navigate that process when things don't always go perfectly, when it feels like there's lots of spiritual, physical, different types of pressure. And so, that's Revelation.
If you want to hear more about that and the talks from Church Camp, they're up on the Village Church Bullite Spotify, so have a listen to those talks. We saw that there's lots of symbols in Revelation, but how do we even know that Revelation is symbolic?
Yeah, how can we be confident that a symbolic reading is the right way to interpret it and read it? Let me give you 3 reasons. The first is that I just don't think there's any other choice. In terms of, you look at things like Revelation chapter 5, you've got in verse 6, then I saw a lamb looking as if it had been slain, standing at the center of the throne, encircled by the 4 living creatures and the elders. The lamb had 7 horns and 7 eyes, which are the 7 spirits of God sent out into all the earth. Now, that lamb, I think no one would disagree that it's Jesus. That's the picture of Jesus. But does that mean that, are we supposed to take that literally in the sense that when we get to heaven and see Jesus face to face, we are going to see a lamb with 7 eyes, with 7 horns and 7 eyes? No, I don't think anyone's saying that. So so the lamb is symbolic, but I would argue it's not just the lamb. That's evidence that the whole of Revelation is symbolic. So that's the first reason. The second reason is back in 1 verse 1. So you've got the revelation from Jesus Christ, which God gave him to show his servants what must soon take place. He made it known by sending his angel to his servant John. So the revelation of Jesus Christ, so the thing that Jesus has revealed, he's made known to by sending his angel to the servant John. Now that word known there, he made known, it's the Greek word that isn't normal for the word make known or known. It's actually the word semino or semena. Now, semeno is where we get our word semaphore from. Does your English stretch that far?
Is it something about flags for signals?
Oh, well done. It's using the symbols on flags as kind of a language, as a way of communicating. So semino is using symbols to explain something. So right there in verse 1, he made it known through symbols. Is the picture. That's the literal interpretation of that word. So symbols like dragons and numbers and cities. That's how Jesus is revealing these things to John. So third reason, it's just in the type of literature. I think I say this in the talks, but apocalyptic literature is symbolic by nature. It's not meant to be taken literally. You don't take poetry literally. In Psalm 1, the psalmist describes God will cover his people like a great bird covering its chicks within its wings. Yeah. And does God have wings? I don't think so. God's invisible. He doesn't have a physical form. You don't read it literally. So, where that leaves us is that I think people who say we should take aspects of Revelation literally, I think they've really got to prove that. They've got to go hard to prove that. Whether it's 1,000 years or a literal mark of the beast, they need to show what evidence they've got as to why. I think our natural instinct should always be to take it symbolically, and everyone would need to have to prove with quite a bit of proof why you would take something literally. Yeah.
Okay. So then there's not just symbols, there's also heaps of numbers in Revelation. Yeah. What is with the numbers in there? How do we interpret those?
Well, again, I think the numbers are symbolic. Numbers can convey meaning. So, let's go through the main ones and we'll see this. 1,000 years, you get that in Revelation 20 verse 2. Now, contextually, there's some trickiness there as to what is going on in this 1,000 years, but I think the 1,000 years is relatively easy to interpret. It's the number 10 times 10.
Which stands for?
Yeah, which stands for 10 in the Bible is the number for completeness. So 10 words that, it's 10 times 10 times 10, I should say. Is that right? Have I got my maths right? 10 times 10 is 100. Yep. Times another 10 is 1,000. There you go. Oh. The number 10 in the Bible is the number for completeness. So 10 words that created the world in Genesis 1, 10 commandments and so on. So you've got this idea of 10 times 10 times 10, 3 tens in a sense. It's completeness is the picture.
Can't get any more complete.
Can't get any more complete. It's a number that is symbolic for the completion of time, for all time in a sense. Now, so it's not meant to be taken as 1,000 years. It's meant to be taken as a complete amount of time, whatever that amount of years is. You're not being told. Now, what's tricky in the context is of what's going to actually take place in that time. That's hard to interpret, I think. I think it's talking about the church age, the age of tribulation, the time between Jesus' resurrection and his return, which won't be 1,000 years literally. It'll be whatever time it takes for all of God's people to be saved from every tribe and nation and so on. Who knows how long that's going to be. But yeah, I think that's what that number is.
What about famous 666?
Yeah, 666. This one's trickier. It's trickier because of something called gematria. Okay. Gematria is a Hebrew code system that substitutes numbers for letters. So imagine our alphabet for a moment. Imagine if A equaled 1, B equaled 2, and so on. My name would be 20, T, 9, I, and 13, N. But it doesn't work. It's not like, therefore, my name's gematria number would be 2913. You add them together. It'd be 42. So the name Tim is 42 in gematria.
That makes sense.
20 plus 9 plus 13. Now, the maths nerds know that there's a problem here. In that 42 could have a ton of possible name interpretations. Like it could be Mitt instead of Tim. Now, that's Matt in New Zealand. Mitt. So how do you know? You don't get the joke there because you've not been in New Zealand. But anyway, how do you know whether it's Tim or Mitt? Context. Usually the context will give you some sort of clue. But that's how gematria works, right? Now, so you come to Revelation 13 verse 18 and then we're told, let the person who has insight calculate the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man. That number is 666. Now, you can understand how people read that and go, oh, the number is a man, it's an individual person, you're meant to calculate it, that points towards gematria and so on. So naturally, people then went 666, who could that be? It's a beast, so it's the number of the beast. So therefore, it's someone symbolic of human powers, like an emperor or a government, that sort of thing. And scholars then put together, if you look at, there are no emperors that easily fit this. But if you do the Hebrew version of Nero, which would be Neron Kaiser, sort of, because remember, again, you don't know what the vowels are in Hebrew, so that's tricky. But if you go with Neron Kaiser the way that we kind of would, you can get 666 in gematria. But you've got question marks here. Why would John use the Hebrew? Why would he? Because he's speaking Greek. He's speaking to a Greek language place. Why would he include Caesar in Nero like he does? It's got some problems. I think it makes more sense to interpret 666 symbolically. The number 6 is the number of incompleteness. It's kind of the number of wrongness and brokenness in a sense. So 7 is the number of a complete thing, the 7 days of creation and so on. 7 letters to the churches, 7 spirits point to the Holy Spirit. 777. If there was if the number 777 was there, that would point, I think, to the Triune God, the God who is complete and 3. 666 is kind of the opposite of that. It's like total incompletion. You've got other little pieces. The 6th trumpet is the trumpet of judgment on the beast. So I think 666 could also be pointing to total judgment of the incomplete thing, something along those lines. So to calculate the number of the beast, I don't think it's pointing you to gematria. I think it's about complete. It's seeing in the human form of the beast that will take, I think, many forms across history, which you could argue includes Nero and the Emperor Domitian, but also anyone who was kind of formed like an antichrist across history, which I think you could argue there have been many of. That antichrist is the anti to God. He's the person of wrongness, and the beast doesn't add up like he should. And that applies, I think, also to the beast's people. So the mark of the beast, it's the people who are under the sway of the beast's message, who reject Jesus. So I don't think it's a barcode; it's a heart code. It's written on their hearts of rebellion and sinful incompleteness.
Okay. Yeah. Another number, last number, 144,000.
Yep. So you first see this in Revelation 7. It's the number of all those who are sealed unto Christ. So here's the mark. So there's the mark of the beast, but now there's the seal or the mark of Christ. So again, 144,000. Don't take it literally, but have the mark of Christ. It's not saying 144,000 only will be saved or sealed. The number is 12 times 12 times 1,000. So I've already seen 1,000 completeness. But then you've got the 12 tribes of Israel. You've got the 12 apostles. I think when you put all that together, it's kind of a picture of the whole people of God. So it's not about a literal 144,000. It's about a number that represents all of the people of God. It's the totality of God's people who will receive the mark of Christ and be in the new creation. Is a picture of that number. Yep.
Why wouldn't they just say some of those things instead of conveying it in symbols or numbers?
Look, I think for one, remember so if you listen to the first talk in the church camp talks, I kind of compare parables to apocalyptic literature. It's that meaning is being hidden from those who refuse to seek understanding. So Jesus could have put the whole Bible in dot points. All of his teaching could be very simple. That wouldn't be very like God in terms of his creativity and beauty. But B, it's also a misunderstanding of what God's doing in the world. Some people think God is trying to make everyone understand, and the problem isn't. The problem sometimes isn't people's hearts. The problem is it's hard to understand. That's not what's going on. It's all understandable. The issue is that people's hearts are hard, and Revelation draws that out. The person who seeks understanding, that's the person who wants to understand. They have a soft heart. The person who doesn't seek understanding goes, I just don't know what that means. Fine, bye. Well, that points to a different issue.
Okay. Yeah. Last question. Will there be any signs that Jesus is coming back? When will it be?
When will it be? I think that I would say from Revelation, we're not given signs or particular signs that Jesus is coming back. I think the sense is that there may be an escalation of the things that happen all the time in the tribulation or seasonally in the tribulation.
Mm-hmm.
I think there are things that, may escalate, but not particular signs that we could go, oh, definitely this will be it. We're close.
Okay.
I reckon outside of Revelation, 2 Thessalonians chapter 2 potentially has something along these lines, depending on who you interpret the man of lawlessness to be. And the rebellion, if you take that to be a Jewish revolt and then the destruction of Jerusalem, then that's something that's already occurred.
Mm-hmm.
So already ticked off. But I'm open to say Greg Beale's interpretation that 2 Thessalonians 2 is again symbolic. He suggests it's referring to an antichrist, a non-Christian leader who claims to be like a Messiah, who will lead a worldwide apostasy of the church away from Christ.
Mm-hmm.
The temple of God, as it is in Ephesians 2, the spiritual temple of God, that Antichrist will sit in the temple of God. So he'll be head over the church in some form or another. So keep an eye out for that maybe. Or maybe, again, it's already happened in some form, but we're not told then how long until Christ returns after that. What we do know is it won't happen until all people from all nations that God has chosen will be saved, which is Matthew 24, verse 14. That's when Jesus will return.
Okay, we're keen for that. People were at church camp, maybe listened to talks after, but that was just like an introduction to Revelation. People want to find out more about it or dig deeper into studying. Where should they go from here?
We will cover it in church, like in a normal sermon series in the next couple of years. So hold on for that. You'll have to listen to it from afar, maybe, Lila. But
We'll see.
Anyway, so there's that side of things. A great book, wonderful book that I found super helpful. And I can't remember the author off the top of my head, but you should be able to Google it. It's called A Gospel Pageant on the Book of Revelation. So A Gospel Pageant. Very helpful and not big, not a long book and not hard to read at all. Just really great. I would encourage you and warn you, be careful Googling things on Revelation or YouTubing things on Revelation. You're delving into a book of the Bible that has a range of craziness to it, and that brings out the craziness in some people. And so, I would be a little bit careful on who I listen to and engage with there, because you only get lots of different stuff. Yeah. Okay,
that's good. Oh, we'll see you next episode again for Normal Living Grounded series.
Yep.
See you there.
See you then. Ciao.